I am Charles R. Bernard.
And together we are here.
We are the
Um,
twin swordsmen of your podcasting world.
so my birthday was last Friday.
Happy birthday,
Thank
belatedly.
you. Um, my uh, it was funny because my mom took me to dinner and um handed me a big cooler full of food.
Okay.
Um, and there's some
Was
good
any of it
stuff in there.
kosher?
Yeah. All of it is.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, my mom is not super overjoyed with my Judaism, but she is respectful of it, which is, what I ask. But like she searched high and low to find me a pure duck
Mm.
pate with no pork. And I love duck and I love pate, so it's really special. And she got me this Tia Lupita hot
Ooh.
sauce, which is swiftly becoming my new favorite. Like, I have about 20 or 30 hot sauces in my house at any given time.
Yeah, me too.
Um, uh, and I favor hot sauces not by heat, but by the flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And this is almost a very peppery enchilada sauce, almost flavor
Oh,
profile
man.
wise. It's just really, my mouth is watering as I like sniff it. Um,
Yeah.
on that shelf of hot sauces, I have a hot sauce made in honor of the band Red Fang.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. Yep. You
their
turned
hot
me on to
sauce is
that
called
shit.
Night Destroyer, and it's
So good.
fun. It's so good.
Yeah, it's
the
really goddamn good.
The guy who makes it made another sauce. Made like a trio of metal band inspired sauces, including a sauce inspired by and named after the Sword.
The sword.
Yeah, if you're not aware, the Sword is this great doom metal band that sings about like Conan the Barbarian and like Lovecraftian cults, and they're very good.
They have a lot of like really like goddess energy positive songs, which I
They
like,
do, but they also have one of their songs is one of my favorite songs, like to listen to, but has this weird, just like bizarrely weird, like you're jamming out, damn, 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 and then like middle song is like, and God sent His only Son so that we could be forgiven. And it's like, what the fuck, the Sword? I'm
Well,
over,
they
I'm over here throwing horns, being like a very nearly pagan Jew. And
I don't know that they're Christian. I mean, they have a song
the
called Freya, like
Yeah, but the line is to save us from damnation, God sent His only Son. Is a literal line in a Sword song, and
sure.
it
I'm
makes me
just wondering if
so
it's in the
angry every
context of
time.
like, because when they sing about the gods or like whatever, I don't think that they like I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
The song in question is oh, what's the name? I don't. It's one of my favorite songs. Like, vocally and musically, it's a great song. It just that line I always like, always
Yeah.
like mumble scream over it, which
See,
really
okay.
scared my wife at first.
Embarrassing secret time. I actually there are like a handful of Christian bands that I like actually enjoy their music enough that I don't make a big deal of it. What? Like I can just see you. It looked like you were
No,
gonna
I'm
dart in
looking
there
up
with
the name
something.
of the song so I can
Ah,
remember.
yeah. The primary example, and this is also embarrassing because it's new metal, and that's like not cool to like, but POD, the band POD, who are like Christian rap metal from fucking Boston, I think.
They what's really funny about POD is they weren't always. They used to be straight edge, like street punk, like gutter
Yeah,
punk, screaming punk rockers.
yeah,
And I listened to them a lot during my own like evangelical phase.
sure,
And then
like you do,
like when I was in high school and like transitioning to Judaism, I was like, oh yeah, POD, I used to like them. What's this about now? what you doing, POD? But I
Hmm.
think the face I was making, Charles, was likely because I'm a huge fan of new metal.
I love some of it, like for sure,
I'm a
and
huge Corn fan. Like, I'm a
yeah,
massive
I
Corn
mean
fan.
they fucking follow us,
I
so
know.
that's lit. Yeah,
Corn's a fan of John.
big
Probably not. It's
big
probably
shouts to Corn.
I probably tagged Corn at some point, and their social media guy was like, "Ah, this is a horror thing. That's kind of metal. We'll follow them too. Fuck it."
Well, if that were true, Rob Zombie would have answered one of my fan letters
I
by
am
now. But no, actually, speaking of the band The Sword, to get us back on topic,
yes. Oh my god,
um,
yes. If you
yeah,
haven't
yeah,
figured it out, by the way, we're talking about
yeah.
swords tonight.
We are, and
Obviously, idiots.
in the spirit of terrible metal and the mythos that hang thereby, I have, of course, like if we're gonna talk swords, you know, I'm bringing some fucking Warhammer 40K to this party.
Yep.
You
Hmm.
know that I'm bringing the Horus Heresy. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, so I knew that I was in love with this whole world when I first encountered the simple word chainsword. Like, it
Oh
just like it
yeah.
lit a fire deep inside me that I was just like, that is genius. That is a genius idea. And like there are so many like memorable bladed weapons in the mythos that it's just ridiculous. And like supposedly like even during the Imperium there's like a no magic rule everybody follows, but like there are straight up magic swords everywhere in this
Yeah.
mythos. And like
Oh yeah.
it wears sci-fi trappings, and like it does have some like definite like hard sci-fi stuff, but deep in its soul, Warhammer is like a knights and trolls and demons and shit like that type of cosmos.
Hmm.
And yeah, like so I, as you know, am all caught up on the heresy so far.
Hmm.
And like the further in we get to the black magic in this cosmos, the more I'm like, I wish I liked human suffering more, because like this would be a really dope ass crew to join if that were the case, because they're always like flaying people and like that's not cool. But when they're doing magic, that shit is really really cool. Like, you
Yeah.
know, go ahead.
The problem is that the human suffering aspect of it actually makes perfect sense in the lore of 40k.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there are definitely times where like someone's like doing the magic thing and it's like, okay, but do you need to do that? Because I feel like you could just like maybe not and it would still work. But in 40k, like everything is specifically powered by human and Eldar excess. So it's like, nah, this makes yeah. No, you
Well, if
probably
Magnus
should flay
hadn't
their
fucked
nipples.
everything up, maybe we could have changed that. But yeah,
But he
that
did.
sorceress mother. By the way, that's what I mean by if I was into the human suffering aspect, I would join either like, well, I'd join one of the Black Magic Legions. So that's like Word Bearers or
Hmm.
Thousand Suns, probably Thousand Suns, because they are
Thousand Sons is way more interested in the like ritual.
intellectual. Yeah,
Whereas the word bearers, the magic is more of like a theistic.
yeah.
We
Oh,
pray
they're
and hurt
yeah.
for this, and I think the word bearers, like the I don't even think the word bearers worships not word bearers. I don't even think the Thousand Sons worship Sneech. I think
No,
he's a
no, they
patron, but
don't.
they
Yeah.
acknowledge him as like a okay. There's this entity we kind of tap into his whole thing, and he has
Yep.
cursed us, but like they don't
And in
worship
fact,
anything.
they renounced their tutelaries when they turned out to be like demons fucking with them. Every single Thousand Son, like none of them are on speaking terms with their tutelaries at this point, and they've gone full like, well, okay, spoilies for Horus Heresy. They've gone full Demon Legion at this point. Like they're Chaos Marines that use warp magic, and
Yeah,
like even Magnus is like
Boston was so
all
good.
fucked up and twisted now, and
Magnus
like
is a demon. Like he's a
yeah,
straight up demon Primarch, and I
yeah.
don't in
And
40k. I mean, all of the
although
Fader Primarchs other than Horus are.
it's so goddamn interesting, because like there were a couple who held out like the longest without succumbing to,
Hmm.
and out of all of them, the one who's still like uncorrupted as far as I'm aware, like in the series, is Perturabo, and like I never would have
Perturabo's
counted.
not a demon?
No, no,
See, I haven't read as much Perturabo stuff as I want to because I actually really like Perturabo.
I do
Um,
too. He's a complicated
there's one
dude.
other one. One
Well,
other
it was
one.
Mortarion for a while, but
Martarian's a complete demon because he's a
yeah,
hypocrite.
yeah.
Omegon.
Well, here's the thing about that. Uh, like, I don't know. I don't want to spoil it for you. Like,
There's
you'll just have to read. But
I don't know about the 30K stuff, but in 40K, there's still a like solid argument about whether or not the Alpha Legion are traitors or loyalists.
yeah, there's a lot like of. I'm not exactly sure which way it's going to land at this point because there's been a couple of like uh yeah, I don't want to give too much away. So, but let's get back to my main dude of
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
evening.
Swords.
Yeah. So, at one point, Lorgar the Primarchs, and if you're not into 40K, there's like way too much background to give. I'm sorry. Just ride with it. You'll love it. So Lorgar's this powerful, like zealot wizard monk type guy, and his legion are made up of religious fanatics who worship evil gods. So naturally, like everything they do is like, let's build a pillar of skulls and like cover it in human fat and light it on fire and dance around it with intestines around our head, and like, yeah, exactly, that kind of shit. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for it. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love I mean, obviously, because I've read like, I think fucking 100 of them at this point because I've
Yep.
read other stuff.
That's about
um and like out of it all, Slaves to Darkness is like by far my favorite of the 40K books I think that I've read, because it is nothing but like the blackest magic from beginning to end. It is, full of really frightening stuff, which is also very cool.
Yeah.
There's some awesome like dark mechanicum stuff. And among all these different players in the game, there's this one character named Lyak, and he is like by far my favorite word bearer. Although he's introduced pretty late in the game, he started as one of the OG word bearers back when they were the heralds, like before they
Okay.
met Lorgar. So they were not like emperor worshippers, but nor were they like evil god worshippers. They believed in the imperial truth, and they were like supposed to be the emperor's like propagandists, basically, in addition to being warriors. And
Right.
so all of them had these tattoos of like black flames on their cheeks, and I was like, that is metal as fucking fuck. First off, and second off, they all like hated the gods and like magic and superstition and shit like that more than any other legion, more than the wolves, more than, and like they get fucking Lorgar as a Primarch, right? So he basically like purged all of them at various points, and this guy had hung on the whole time. He was like, all right, the one guy I would worship is the emperor. And then when they turned again, his like I'm not exactly sure if it was voluntary or not. I don't think it was, but Lorgar just like cored him out like an apple, like removed his soul and trapped him inside of this fucked up mask that's like 6 ruby eye lenses and like his helm or whatever, and
Right.
it's inside is covered in like hooks and barbs and shit. And like you can tell how powerful the warp magic going on is by like how deeply into his face it just like bites and gnaws. And like he's usually too busy like waving his wand around and shit. So he has not one but two personal bodyguards who are let's call them like servants because I don't like the other S word they use, but they are like mind wiped. They are human hosts for the swords they carry. So like there is basically no warrior X and Y. I can't remember their names. They are just like their consciousness has been stripped down to basically like servitor level. But
Right.
the second that there's a threat to Lyak, like, and even like a tiny sliver of sword emerges from the sheath, like they start just like swelling, and the demon that's inside the sword like takes over the body so it can wield itself, which I think is like a very dope thing for a demon sword to do, like to
Right.
wield itself,
I do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I wield myself at least once a day. It's good for you. Healthy, relieve stress.
Yeah, exactly.
Good for your prostate
Exactly.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anywho, yeah. So 40K in swords, man. Like it is some seriously. Like yes, it is. It is one of the most like phallocentric, like intentionally or unintentionally homoerotic, like very intensely like it smells stale and male, like the 40K universe. And like I don't know, I think its obsession with swords is definitely part of that. It's an obsession I sadly share, but like yeah, there's some badass swords in this cosmos. Sigismund was wielding that. Is he still does he I think is he alive in 40K? I don't even know yet. No. Okay. Does another one of the Templars have the black sword now?
Yep, Black Sword is still absolutely part of the Imperial. I fucking hate the fists.
Yeah.
If they would just like smoke a blunt and do some fisting,
Yeah.
it'd be a
Yeah, but then
lot.
they wouldn't be the fists. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'd be
they're
the
squeezed tight
fisters.
like a fist. Uh see, there I go. It's not even intentional with 40K. But there are like so many amazing like so when you're dealing with a like a evil magical system, right? Like whether
Hmm.
it's, blade wielding servants or this Lyak guy's powers and like what he's got to sacrifice to make them work and everything, like um it can get pretty like hokey at times. I've tried to get away from that in my own writing. I write a lot of stuff that has magic in it, and like there's stuff that's been done to death and stuff that hasn't, and like other stuff that people think hasn't been done to death but it has been, and other stuff that people think has been done to death but it's actually like pretty cool. And with 40K, especially with the stuff with like chaos and the way that they wield it, like that is like some of the most original and startling imagery I've encountered in like novels of any kind, let alone novelizations. It's amazing. If you like bones and human skin being used for like everything, like if it can be made out of leather in the 40K universe, delicious. It is made out of human leather, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Uh, Anywho, I've talked about swords and stuff for too long. So, John, it's your whack at the old pinata with your neat sword.
I'm gonna take so much of your time up. I like swords of all kinds. I've been playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Um, I've been playing a lot of games. I like sword. I like swords. A lot. I don't have any. I don't have any mall swords in my house, which I count as a miracle from God, personally. Um, but I have a kendo sword, and which is a thing that's like I have this. I should take a kendo because that's really cool. Like I want to take a like meditative sword class. Swords are cool. Swords in games are great. Ghost of Tsushima, which is essentially a samurai sword fighting game,
Hmm.
uh, with stealth elements if you want, I guess, if you're a punk. Which is exactly how the game treats you, by the way. Whenever you have to do anything stealth, it's like, all right, I guess, yeah, that's fine, bitch. Cool. Um, I like that. But I've been playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I have a really good weapon. Not Odyssey. Valhalla. I have a really good weapon, but I really prefer the swords because of the animation and like
Hmm.
the style. It's just more fun. Um, but I want to talk about some various swords from some various video games. Um, I want to talk about some of the most famous swords specifically.
I can think of the most famous one probably.
Which one are you thinking of?
The Cloud's Buster Sword from Final Fantasy
So
VII.
that is on my list,
Okay,
but
cool.
I will mud wrestle you to teach you the error of your ways. You're going to be so angry with yourself in just a second. The Master Sword
Oh,
from
the
Legend
Master
of
Sword, of
Zelda, you
course.
piece of shit.
Fucking of course. Yeah, of course.
So the
That
Master Sword,
thing. Love it.
man. So the Master Sword, Link has had a lot of different swords
Yeah.
over the course of his career fighting Ganon. And there's various different, like there's the Skyward Sword,
Hmm.
there's the Dark Sword, there's the Tempered Sword. Like this Master Sword is very rarely the the best sword. In Link's Awakening, for instance, the Master Sword is just sword number 2. There's still
Really?
3 more swords after that. Yeah.
Wow.
So you get the Master
That's
Sword,
sort of a sequel of a sequel feeling, but okay.
you get the sword, and then once you rescue the blacksmith, they'll temper it, and then you can lob it at a chunky fairy, and she'll give you an upgraded sword.
Yep.
Um, so there's that. But the Master Sword, uh, my favorite. So it has a lot of names. The sword that seals darkness, but my favorite is the Sword of Evil's Bane, which is just rad. It's just metal.
Yeah, that is pretty metal.
So there's the Bustard Sword. The Bustard Sword, like, there's nothing actually special about the Bustard Sword other than it's big. Um, it's a chopper
Hmm.
that he just kind of swings around and like, oh, he's a swordsman. Is he? Because he's using a fucking machete, essentially.
It's because it looks like startling. Like I don't think there's ever been a depiction of well, I don't know. I don't know shit about like if Buster Sword was a whole thing before that, but it was the first time I'd ever seen one of those, and I was quite impressed. I was like, that thing probably weighs more than I do. But
I've worked my whole life to make sure that's not the case. Um, I'm not going to talk about lightsabers. Um, just because I like, yes, they're in video games, they're in tabletop games, but like, eh. I'm also not going to talk about Frostmourne, the sword from Warcraft, partially out of respect for my fallen brothers at Blizzard who now work for Microsoft.
yeah, man.
Partially for
Wow.
fuck the people at Blizzard who are assholes.
Yeah.
Um, there are good people at Blizzard. I'm not implying that all of them are assholes, but all the good people now work for Microsoft. So, you know, tip for the tat.
Yeah,
But what
it's been a rough go for Activision Blizzard.
yeah, there are 2 more swords I do want to talk about.
Which ones?
The first one is I've been playing a little series called Kingdom Hearts.
Oh yeah.
Now, when Kingdom Hearts first came out, back when I was in college, yeesh, I hated it. I despised it, and I was the
Really?
only person that did. Like, I was the only person that I knew that did not like Kingdom Hearts. And it's because I don't like anime, and I hadn't played any Final Fantasies other than 10, and I wasn't really a Disney kid, so it just didn't have much for me.
I mean, yeah, there's like no reason for you to check it out because
Yeah,
it's all those things.
yeah. And so recently, when they came out with like the story so far and Kingdom Hearts 3 all at once, I was like, you know what? Like, I can get like 7 games for the price of a nickel. And so I did it, and I played through the first one pretty quickly, and I was like, you know what, that was okay. I'll play through the second one, and then I got sidetracked. But I'm picking it back up. The Keyblade is a cool concept because it's really dumb looking.
I actually, the first time I saw it, I was like, "That's a cool idea." Like, I like that idea as like a magical weapon or whatever. I think that's really dope.
It's the idea behind it is very cool. However, if you look at the Keyblade when it's not like got its little keychain that turns it into a cool sword based on whatever world it's from. It's definitely a blunt object. It's the key hammer,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think they should show more of Sora bludgeoning people to death and crushing skulls. That's just me. Keyblade, like what I find really fascinating about the Keyblade is that it's a weapon that because it sits at the intersection of Disney and Final Fantasy and all of the fucking properties that Disney owns now. Holy shit.
Yep. Which is all of them, I think.
Pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
Like the Keyblade itself became a symbol of all of these properties. Like you can tie it to anything that you love, which allows especially like it to become meaningful to the fandom and for any neurodivergent type person that wants to glom onto it. And I think that's super cool. Creating a universal symbol that anyone can connect to is a huge feat that I greatly respect.
My occultist sense is going off because like the key has been a key symbol, for like a long time. It's interesting. I know sweet fuck all about the history of locks, but it'd be interesting to know when keys became a thing for locks. What
One
year
thing
that
that you
was.
may find interesting, I did a sales event this weekend in San Antonio. I sold books. Some of you wrote those books. Some of you have read those books. However, I wanted a Red Bull very badly. And I went to the bar and I said, bartender, barkeep, tavern master, hand me one of those Red Bulls and allow me to have wings. And they said, I'm sorry, we lost the key to the lock on that fridge.
You're shitting me.
And I said, oh, that's so. Hold on. I grew a neck beard, put on my fedora, and I said, well, that's okay. I have my lock picks with me.
Fucking, of course you did.
And so they brought the fridge over to the bar, and I picked the lock and grabbed myself.
Wow, man! Like I'm impressed for one. That's pretty dope. Like
it's so. I've always wanted.
Yeah, achievement unlocked.
I've always wanted to learn how to pick locks. Like it's always been a cool thing.
You're not the only one. That's quite the hobby with people I know.
Yeah, no, it's a cool hobby, and so I picked up a lockpick set and some practice locks for my birthday. And so I've been playing around with it, and I thought to myself, like, I looked at the fridge, I was like, that's not like a protective lock. That's a make sure someone doesn't just swing it open and grab it lock.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's not going to be very, like, it's not going to be an intense lock. It's not going to be very sophisticated. Let me grab my, like, rake tool and my tension tool and okay, here's my Red Bull. Locked it back up.
For free?
No. Which they should
like. So lame.
Yeah, I was over. I was proud of that. Like, okay, cool. It's $5. I was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Did you not notice the part where I fucking opened your lock with magic hands?
And $5 for like that's fucking hilarious, man. That's like you helped them out of. That's like you helped them up from off a cliff with your hand, and they just were like, "Thanks, wham!" Need you right in the cojones. Like that is remarkable. Wow.
So that's what I have to say about the occult symbol of keys is it won't get you a Red Bull if you bypass them. So One Last Sword. Do you have time in your hearts to listen to One Last Sword? Because I think it's
I sure do. So they do too. Fuck them. And by fuck them, I mean we love them.
I mean, I am incapable of performing without love.
I think I'm like the opposite.
No, I'm dead serious though. Completely.
Okay, all right.
Completely.
To each their own.
Which like really works out well for me as a married man.
It should, yeah.
Like this is ideal situation for me, frankly.
Yeah.
So, the last sword I want to talk about is, in my opinion, maybe the coolest one. We have talked about chain swords. The second coolest one on the list and that is the Soul Calibur / Soul Edge.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
I am not a
Yes.
big
That's very
fighting
cool.
game dude. Soul Calibur, pretty fun game, and they had a while back they started doing the like character creation thing.
Mhm.
But I want to say it was Soul Calibur 2 or 3 where they had character creation and then like a RPG-esque like map that you could go around and level up and unlock new stuff and like learn new moves. And I really love that when fighting games do that because frankly I want to
Story
play that sort of
mode.
thing
Yeah.
instead of like a fighting game.
Yeah.
Um, so
Soul
Soul
Calibur
Edge,
is like one of the few fighting games I love as well, by the way, or
nice.
franchises, I should say. I like Tekken as well, in particular the early Tekkens, but
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um isn't it Yoshimitsu is in both of those games?
yes, he is.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
can't remember. I can't. There's actually a story as to why Yoshimitsu is in both, but I can't
he's
remember
a
what it
plane
is.
walker.
So, the Soul Calibur is a weapon that is like super good and holy, um, but also because I believe, because it reflects what's in your heart.
Hmm.
If you're a piece of shit, it becomes a Soul Edge,
Hell
a
yeah.
demonic sword that possesses you and turns you into a horrifying demon nightmare monster.
Pardon me one
Um,
second. I've got to down some life-saving medication.
oh, Charles. Me too.
Yeah, mine's not jelly beans,
Oh, no, mine was
regrettably.
hot sauce.
Oh, delicious. Did you really just take a swig of that?
Yeah, it's good. It's real good.
Watch as John dies on camera. Well, I don't know how spicy it is. You said
Oh, it's
enchilada
not.
sauce, so yeah.
It's not that spicy. I don't think they have just Scoville listed on here.
Yeah.
Only
So
only fucking
Soul Edge
dares.
isn't even my favorite weapon in that game, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But it has like the best story. And I
Yeah,
and
true.
I think Soul Edge, because the story of Soul Calibur through all of its iterations is the story of the sword,
Mm-hmm.
really, it has one of the best stories of swords in games. Frostmourne is really good, but fucking not gonna talk about Blizzard. Um,
Yeah.
there's a lot of cool swords out there. We could have talked about Lord of the Rings, but I wanted to keep it on gaming. We could have
Even in
talked,
40K, I could have talked about the Anathane, which is like
yeah,
one of the more interesting weapons I've ever heard about because it's made out of sentient metal. It's not a sentient sword, it's made out of sentient metal. And I've thought about that long and hard. Like, to me, that implies that this metal might be like a hive mind of some kind, or like, yeah.
I think the sword is also made of sentient metal.
Yeah.
The band, the sword,
Oh,
the band, the sword.
yeah. Well, they are sentient and they do play metal. So,
At
yes.
my point exactly. I don't know what that voice was. I
We
apologize.
love the Jesus Christ.
Burn in heaven. Burn in heaven.
I
I
gotta
shit
say,
you
man,
not. The Lord
as
is
a
not.
Satanist, like the music of my religion is quite excellent. I'll just say that much.
I have
The
a
devil hath
while
dominion over music.
a while back I was working this shitty job. Like this job was so shitty that occasionally I would pull over to the side of the road and like sob to myself.
Oh God,
Yeah, it was really bad. Well, okay. The job was fine, and people that do that job, it's like there's no shame in it at all.
we're talking a
Um,
phone job, right?
no, this was a delivery job. I was
Huh?
delivering medicine
Uh,
door to door. Which again, there's nothing shameful or bad about it. Um, but I had just been laid off of a decade long career. I had my college education. I was like I had all these skills and no one would hire me. So I was doing this job and I was just having this complete existential crisis that I had wasted and thrown away my entire life. That's why I was like the job wasn't that awful, but That's where I was. Anyway, part of that job was showing up at the office at 4 a.m. and organizing all the deliveries for the day.
That's early as fuck.
It
No,
was
thank
brutal,
you.
especially since I would often work until 6 or 7
Is that still
p.m.
technically the grave, or like what shift is that?
No, that's morning shift. Although it's kind of a swing morning shift if you get off at a
Right.
reasonable hour, which
Yeah.
I did not.
Hmm.
Um, so I would go in at 4 to organize all the deliveries, and I would play music on my phone while I was doing it. And I think I was playing like Monster Magnet. I was playing like stoner metal essentially, or stoner rock. This guy comes in, glares at me, is like, "I wish you wouldn't play that Satan music." And I was
No.
like, "Oh, really?
Yeah.
Satan music, you say? May I introduce you to my friend Behemoth?"
Yeah. No shit.
Like,
Yeah.
if you're
Um.
gonna pull that card on me, I'm gonna play some Beyond the Darkened Spires. I'm gonna play
Yeah.
some Enshrined.
I would
Like,
go with Martyr Defiled personally, or anyway, yeah, like
I'm gonna play
those
some
are all
Arch
excellent ones.
Enemy.
Or Rotting Christ is always a favorite. Like,
My
but
point
even
is there's more Satan
oh
in
yeah,
this iPhone, in this iTunes
yeah,
library, than there has been Satan in any of the women punished for being witches.
yeah,
Which like any, really.
yeah.
So I promise we wouldn't get political, but church has not been kind to women. That's it. I'm done.
Yep.
Um
I'm gonna go on about metal and its relationship to the devil though, because I would say like one of the things that drew me in the mythic direction of non-theistic Satanism was, the symbolism of the devil in rock and roll is so well established and interesting. The devil in blues, the devil in
oh
all
yeah.
kinds of music, and I love that. Yeah, like Zombie played with that in Lords of Salem, which is, I mean, that whole concept's based on the Diabolus in Musica, the Devil's Interval, which
Yeah.
is like, are you aware of this? It was a
Hmm.
musical,
Oh yeah.
like, what do you call it? A tone structure that was like banned in church music for like a long time because it was considered an evil sound. And it's like, it's the same chords that Black Sabbath uses
Mhm.
in the beginning of the song Black Sabbath on the album Black Sabbath.
I was
Like,
trying to explain that chord to my grandfather, and I was
yeah.
like, "Oh, this is why this is part of the reason why this music is considered evil, and it's this
Yeah,
chord,
it's
and it's the
scary, right,
devil's
yeah.
note."
Yeah.
And I was like, and so this note was considered evil, and he's like, "Well, you mean some people?" I was like, "Okay, but like widely, this note was like, no, some people. I don't think it's evil." I was like, "No, I know you."
That just means that you're evil, Pat Pap.
God rest his soul. May his memory be for a blessing.
Yeah.
But my grandfather Jim Baldisberger was one of the most ornery, con- contrary sons of bitches I ever met.
If he was like, "Some people think it's evil," I'd be like, "Yeah, they're called Catholics." Like,
And he'd be like, ah.
yeah, it's just,
Um,
yeah, it's funny
yeah.
to me what was considered like you could ban a specific tone or whatever, like, that would it's ridiculous. Anyway, yeah.
So, yeah, swords. Swords are great.
They're
You can
great.
make music with swords.
Buy a couple of them. Try it out.
Buy. Hey, I
If you
don't.
don't own at least one sword, I mean, sell your cloak and go buy one.
We've talked a little bit about Noodle the pug on this show, the bones or no bones thing. Today is a bones day, which
Wow,
means
there
you
you
should
go.
treat yourself and go buy a sword.
That's right.
The
Uh,
pug commands you to go get a sword.
and tonight's episode has been brought to you by truekatana.com.
And also extremerestraints.com.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
By the way, Extreme Restraints, we don't have the viewership to get sponsors, but if you want to sponsor us anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll shout y'all out for like, I don't
A
know, you want to
dollar?
send me like a coupon for a Whopper?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, a sandwich
like,
should work.
like,
Yeah.
I just want to talk about your electrified cages for dicks. Like, that would be a fun time for John.
Those are some extreme restraints.
They are extreme, and they will restrain your yeah. Charles, did you know that we have signed some contracts
We
lately?
have indeed. We have indeed.
Now, I can't tell, like, one of them, the ink is still wet. I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is, but holy shit, y'all are not ready.
Yeah.
The other two I will tell you about. We have signed a contract with Rain Havoc,
Yep.
an amazing voice in the extreme horror community, who writes a lot of smut and ultra violence, and tends to write them from a female perspective, which is kind of refreshing. Uh, we are going to be working with her for a novel of urban fantasy, extreme horror, and this is a big one for me. Signed today. When I first started reading and going to half price books and picking up books, I once picked up a book called City Infernal by one Edward Lee. Had no idea who he was, had never heard of him, and I really, really like this series. It was the first Edward Lee book I had ever read. It was the first, like, one of the first horror books I'd ever read. And it started me on this terrifying journey. Today, we have signed a contract with Christine Morgan, author of Trenchmouth and Lake House Infernal, to publish the next book in the City Infernal series, Warlock Infernal. Now, I'm not going to give too much away, but I will tell you on the first 2 pages of that book is more violence and sex than in some other books in the community.
I do love Christine Morgan's
God,
writing
she's
so
so
goddamn
good.
much.
She's
Yeah.
so fucking good.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm proud to have a signed copy of Sperm Jackers from Hell on my shelf.
that's awesome.
Yeah. The frontispiece illustration for that is remarkable.
By the time you're seeing this, registration for KillerCon 2022 should be open. Those are available at killerconaustin.com. Come and join us. It is going to be a wild time. If you're
The
seeing this right
nominees are up
now,
there too.
yeah, the nominees are up. They're live right now. If you're watching this live, they are not up there. I mean, the nominees are, but not the registration. I'll be putting those up later. And I can promise you, in at least 3 of the books we're publishing this year, someone will be killed with a sword.
Hell yeah, man. Well, you know how I feel. I've renamed the Warhammer series, as penned by Clefton Twain, and I figured out the co-author. It's Ripton Hoff.
I like Rittenhoff. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. He is known for gripping tales. Anyway, if the kind people of the internet, are we to that point yet?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. If the kind people of the internet want to find you online, I was gonna call you Your Honor, but I don't know why. Where would they go, John?
They can try to avoid me if they want, but it ain't gonna work out. No. You can find me at www.kaijupoet.com or find me on Twitter at kaijupoet. Those are the best ways to find me and my body of work.
Yeah, and his work of body, but or
So that's
that
on
might
my
be
OnlyFans.
Or Fansly, either one. At any rate, if you're looking for me, you can find me. If you want the full annotated list of where to find my stuff, go to tinyurl.com/Charles R. Bernard, all lowercase, and that'll take you right there. You can find me on Twitter at CR Bernard. You can find this humble pod on Twitter at Juan Moncast. That's at WANMONCAST. We tweet all day long and all night long about the dumbest shit imaginable, and it's delightful. So,
On that note, also follow us as a gaming company at MHP_games.
Correct.
On Twitter, and check out Murder Hobo Murder Hobo Con coming next month. We'll be making an announcement at that,
Hmm.
and there's going to be lots of cool games, like specifically Mothership and Morkborg and Vast Grim. Like, are all things I'm just like chomping at the bit for a chance to experience.
Yeah, it should be really cool, like panels,
Hmm.
live, vendors, I guess, even, and
Yep.
stuff like that. So very, very cool. Yeah.
All right. You know what, guys? Thank you so much for joining us on this consensual journey we call Wandering Monster. I am John Baldisberger,
I am Charles R. Bernard.
and until next week, stay safe, but